Dear children, today we are going to start chapter 2, Is Matter Around Us Pure? So in this chapter, first of all, you should know what is matter. So anything that occupies space and has mass is called matter. So in this picture you can see all three different states of matter. Vapors coming out from water. You can see water coming out from tap, which is found in liquid state, and the other states of matter as solids. Next are types of matter. So we have pure substances, and all the pure substances are made up of only one kind of particles, which can be either atoms or molecules. Like elements and compounds, both are categorized under pure substances. Elements are made up of atoms and compounds are made up of molecules. All the pure substances have definite set of properties. For example, iron is quite different from gold in its boiling point, in its melting point, and in its color. Similarly, if we see compounds, then water is quite different from carbon dioxide, and they all have definite set of properties. Atoms or molecules, they cannot be separated from elements and compounds. For example, if you want to separate one iron atom from an iron element, you can't separate it by any physical process. Similarly, if you want to separate one water molecule from a water compound, you cannot separate it by any physical process. Now we have some examples of pure substances. As you can see in this picture, you can see pure water, oxygen and salt. So all these are categorized under pure substances because all are made up of one kind of particles. Next are impure substances or mixtures. So when two or more substances are mixed in any proportion, we get a mixture or an impure substance. It can be either one element or two compounds. It can be either two compounds or two elements. So if we are mixing two or more substances in proportion, we get an impure substance or mixtures. There is no chemical reaction or no chemical change taking place in impure substances or mixtures, and they retain their individual properties. Now here we can see one example, like if we are going to mix iron filings and sand and water, then there is no chemical reaction taking place in all the three components of a mixture, and they retain all their individual properties. Next are types of mixtures. So we have homogeneous mixtures, which are also called as solutions. For example, salt solution, sugar solution, and we can also categorize here alloys as homogeneous mixtures. So alloys are also called as solid solutions because alloys are made up of two or more elements combined in a fixed proportion. As the best example you can see in your daily life is stainless steel. So stainless steel is an alloy and it appears uniform throughout. So it is categorized under homogeneous mixture. Next are heterogeneous mixtures. So we have so many examples of heterogeneous mixtures, like if I am going to mix chalk powder in water, it's an heterogeneous mixture and I can easily identify where is chalk powder and where is water in this heterogeneous mixture. Similarly, if I take an example of oil and water, I can easily identify in the mixture of oil and water that oil is floating on water. Now you can see here one picture where we can see so many examples of homogeneous mixtures and so many examples of heterogeneous mixtures as well. Now tea is an example of homogeneous mixture. How? So we all know that the components of tea are water, milk, sugar and tea leaves. But in this tea, we cannot identify all these components because the tea which we are getting from all these components appears uniform throughout. So it is categorized under homogeneous mixture. Now if you are going to see ice in water, you can easily identify where is ice, where is water. So it's a heterogeneous mixture. Similarly, if we are going to see soil, so in soil there is sand also, there is pebbles also, and there are the dead remains of plants also, there is clay also. So we can easily identify that where are the dead remains of plants, where are the pebbles in the soil. So it's a heterogeneous mixture. Now we come to solutions. So solutions are the homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. For example, salt solution and sugar solution. So in salt solution, salt is mixed with water, and when salt gets dissolved in water, we cannot identify the salt particles in water because it appears uniform throughout its volume. So salt solution is categorized as homogeneous mixture. Now components of solution. So there are two components of solution. One is solute and the other is solvent. Like if we talk about salt solution, then here salt is solute and water is solvent. So we can see here that solute is present in a small quantity in a solution and solvent is present in larger quantity in a solution. Now the properties of solution. So first property of solution is that it is a homogeneous mixture because it appears uniform throughout its volume. Now the next property of solution is that the particles present in solution are smaller than 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter in their size, which is equivalent to 10 to the power minus 9 meter or 1 nanometer. So the particle size in solution is smaller than 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter or 10 to the power minus 9 meter or 1 nanometer. So the particle size is smaller than 1 nanometer. Now next property is solution does not show Tyndall effect. So what is Tyndall effect first of all? So Tyndall effect is the effect in which the path of light is visible by the particles of size 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter or more than that. So when the scattering of a beam of light is possible by the particles of the size 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter or more than that, then they show Tyndall effect. But here we can see that the particle size of solution is smaller than 10 to the power minus 7 centimeter, so it will not show Tyndall effect. So if you are going to put salt solution in a dark room in a beaker and then you are flashing a torch light onto it, then you won't be able to see the light passing through the solution. Means you cannot see the light inside the solution because the particle size of solution is too small to scatter this beam of light. Next property is that solution is always stable, because if we are going to filter any of the solution like salt solution, then you won't be able to get salt on the filter paper or water down in the beaker, because it will pass as it is through this filter paper. Similarly, if you are going to put this salt solution for a longer time, suppose for 1 hour or for 10 minutes even, you will not be able to see that the particles of salt are settling down over there. This shows that the salt solution is quite stable in nature. So we can say solutions are always stable. Now we come to the topic concentration of solution. So first of all, you should know what is concentration of solution. So concentration of solution is the amount of solute present in a given quantity of solution. So by mistake it is solution written over here. It is amount of solute present in a given quantity of solution. So amount of solute dissolved in amount of solution is concentration of solution. Concentration of solution can be expressed by percentage method. So the best method to express the concentration of solution is percentage method. So here first is mass by mass percentage method, where the formula is mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. And how can we find out the mass of solution? By adding the mass of solute and mass of solvent. Now one example is here. A solution contains 80 gram of common salt in 640 gram of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. So here the solution is before you. So by mass by mass percentage method, how can we measure it? We will put the formula mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. Then we will find out the mass of solution, because mass of solute is given to us, which is 80 gram. Mass of solvent is 640 gram. And when we add these two quantities, we get 720 gram. And if you are going to put all these quantities in this formula, then the mass of solute is 80, mass of solution is 720 gram, and accordingly when we put all these quantities in this formula, 80 divided by 720 into 100, then we get the concentration of solution, which is 11.1% here. Alright, so this way we can measure the concentration of solution by mass percentage method. Next is mass by volume percentage method, and here the formula is mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. Another method is volume by volume percentage method. So here the formula is volume of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. So as we have done one numerical for finding out the concentration of solution by mass percentage method. The same manner we can do for this also, like we can also find out the concentration of solution by mass by volume percentage method and volume by volume percentage method. I hope that everything is clear to you in this video which I showed you, and the next portion of the chapter we will study in our next video. Thank you, children.